Alright, welcome back, y'all. So this is part 2 of the fuel pump install. I'm going to start getting ready to drop the tank. This is a small 79 to 04 Mustangs. You got to drop the fuel tank to get the fuel pump. So pretty much where I left off. I do want to point out that I forgot to mention, in order to test the voltage going to the fuel pump, you do need a jumper, the diagnostic port, this one right here and this one right here. I just use a unbent paper clip to do it. It works. You won't get but like 0.2 volts otherwise. So anyway, you got a bunch of stuff you can do while it's still on the ground. It's 3 bolts for the gap around the gas cap filler neck. Got to get this trim out the way to get right here. There's a bolt, there's like 2 or 3 bolts, I don't remember exactly, that you want to loosen, and basically you're just trying to make play for the filler neck. But getting this trim piece out is just a bunch of Phillips head screws and disconnecting the light connector, which I cannot do one-handed. So let me try to get that out. Okay, this back piece comes out pretty easy. Then it's just, you know, loosening some of these Phillips heads on this panel right here. Angle y'all down just a little bit. So this is just time consuming. I'm not even gonna put those anywhere. I'm just gonna take them out. As you can see, there's already a couple missing, but it's not a terrible big deal. The odds of having all your screws intact in a box body this day and age are pretty unheard of. Alright, I should be able to. Now, of course, I still got the matting in here. Oh, sweet. Okay. So these are a little bit different. Again, on the 9904 cars, you'd have some more screws down in there, or bolts to undo, but they're not on the Fox body, so I didn't even need to undo that panel. So I'm going to work on getting these off, and then once I do that, start jacking the car up. Anyway, I'll be back. Alright, so got those 3 bolts out. I actually lost one down in there, so I'm going to see if I can get that back. Got the car jacked up. Let me show you what you got to deal with underneath real quick. So you got to get this connector disconnected, which I don't think I can do one-handed. Nope, I can't do it. I'll have to do that in a minute. You got to disconnect your fuel lines. They're just squeeze plugs right there and there. I recommend having a drain pan when you do that. You will get fuel on you, and it's going to be really nasty for me because this thing's been sitting so long. Also, you got to get that little bolt that holds the neck to the tank. And so, unlike these N95s and the 9904s, there's normally 3 bolts on those, but on the Fox bodies, they have both straps have a rod in the back. So when you undo the fronts of the straps with the 13mm bolts, obviously you want to have this supported, and then you can take those rods out. Once they're loose, you can wiggle those rods out and the straps will come loose. And after that, you want to make sure there's any, I don't think there's any evap stuff on this side. No. Okay, so unlike the newer Mustangs, they have all kinds of evap and emission stuff on the driver's side, and obviously Fox bodies don't. So, yeah, this is actually probably going to be simpler than I'm used to. So one thing I'm going to have a struggle with, and I might not get it on camera, is getting the tank out because this thing's almost full. So I recommend when you do this, you have an empty tank. It's really a pain balancing it with a full tank because 13 to 15 gallons of fuel at 7-8 pounds a gallon, it's heavy. But anyway, I'm gonna get this started. I'm gonna get this bolt undone, get the fuel lines disconnected, and I'll be back. Okay, so I got the line disconnected, the connector undone. Got the hoses disconnected. The feed that goes to the fuel filter is one of these connectors. I just pried these out, the white connector up out of the way. It popped right off. The return line, you will need a fuel line disconnect, let's get under, let me get out from under the car. I don't remember what size this one is, but usually you buy these in a kit. I got this set, came with AutoZone. I forgot to mention, so the reason why it was different than the 9904s in the trunk side is because those bolts that I was talking about are actually, there's 4 of them on the underside of the car. So I got to get those off and I'll be back. Okay, so yeah, so the tank strap bolts for me were a real pain. They were rusted up, so I've got them soaking some of this. Let's see, this stuff. This stuff is 10 times better than WD-40, PB Blast, or any of that. It helps when you let it soak. I should have done this, let these soak from the get-go this morning. You know, just sprayed it up in there. But that'll clean it up. I've used this before on the Cobra when I had on my header bolts to, anyway, it knocks stuff loose way better. It's a long-term thing. But anyway, the tank's about ready to come out. All I gotta do is get my helper to come and give me a hand since it is so full. It's probably gonna make a mess. Not much I can do about it, but I'm gonna get it done. So I'll be back. Wow. Okay, so got the fuel tank out, and I should have thought of this beforehand, but so I had few things I need to get ordered. So this is going to end up being a 3-parter because the fuel lines are kind of falling apart that go from the like the feed to the fuel filter and the return from the hard line. They're kind of nasty, but the freaking hose inside the fuel pump is just, it's like goo. And then the gaskets for the fill neck and the fuel hat, they're just shot. So anyway, that was fun. But the fuel tank's out, fuel pump's out. I'm not going to mess with it anymore today because I can't finish either way. Note to self, if you've got an older car like this, think ahead. I normally do, but I was trying to order so many things to get going on this car. It is what it is. I'm gonna have to wait a little longer before I can hear this thing run. Anyway, I'm gonna probably finish it up for today. I may, and while I wait, do the alternator and some other stuff. We'll see. But for today, this is gonna be a wrap. So until next time, I'll be back.